All right, today we're talking about how the legacy breaks. And it's not a mark against Crosman, it's user error. And so for part one, we're going to talk about the valve. All right, so we have parts here from a 760. They're very similar in function. Okay, you have your pump rod and your pump cup. Okay, and then you have your valve. And when you pump, it puts air into that hole. All right, and this usually, the pump cup usually wears down just from age, but over pumping or maxing the pumping can potentially damage it. The big one, the culprit from over pumping too much, is blowing out your exterior O-ring right here on your valve. Okay, and so remember, you pull your trigger, a hammer hits that, air releases here and fires your pellet. And you see a seam right there, and we'll get to the parts inside in a second. But yeah, so what happens when you pump it too much pressure, it blows out that O-ring and air goes over the top instead of into that hole right there. Okay, so let's look at the parts. And okay, the diagram's right here. So you have the back of the valve body, you have the valve stem, you have the return spring that resets everything, you have the check valve. So when you're pumping, it keeps the air in this container. Okay, so that's what that is right there, check valve. And then you have an interior O-ring, and then the front of that valve assembly, and then the exterior O-ring we just went over. Okay, now we're going to talk about the ammo used. We're going to talk about some smart people here. Okay, so the ammo used is Crosman 7.9 by two very smart guys, and this works out beautifully for this conversation. Okay, so these are Corona results from a gentleman named Adam. I don't know if Adam and Alfred want to be called old timers, but they are, older gentlemen. They're smart. So Adam did his Corona results, and we're going to go over that first. Okay, where I'm at in the suburb, 12 meters, 15 yards. I'm a 5-pump guy. I'm only going to see that as a 5-pump. I know that's controversial, and we'll talk about it, about the options you have with this gun. But to me, the Legacy is a 5-pump. And so with that pellet, that's hitting about 590 FPS, feet per second, and about 6 pounds of force. And it's everything I need. It's walloping what I'm hitting in the field at 12 meters to 15 yards. It's getting it done. 6 pumps jumps over 600. 7 pumps you're building. 8 pumps really jumps. And this is where it gets fascinating, folks. Okay, so now, Alfred in Georgia, using those same pellets in the field for pest work, has made it clear, he's trustworthy, that 8 pumps with those 7.9s is walloping whatever he hits, and I believe him. 5 pumps works for me at my ranges, but at 20 to 25 yards where he's at, he is having success, and he doesn't go by that, and his gun still works. Okay, now let's get back to Adam. Adam wrote this, and I made sure to write exactly the way he did. 11 pumps, 12 pumps, and then coming in an average on his Crony at 725. There was hardly any difference between these two, just a few feet per second, and he figured that it wasn't worth pumping it 12 times extra effort, so he just pumped it 11 times. The gun still broke. Is it his fault? No, he figured, hey, they say you can pump this thing 12 times, but 11 times is still in the danger zone there, and it broke before a 10 of 500 pellets was done. Okay, sometime around in there. So now we're going to talk about a third gentleman, a successful gun shop owner. He's very wealthy. He has employees. He's been working on these Crosmans for decades. He has plenty of experience taking them apart, repairing them, and they work again. Okay, and I brought this gun in there, and he put it on a gun mat, and he pumped it. You could tell that it was harder than other variants in the past. He tapped that plastic receiver, and because he understands engineering completely, he told me, do not pump this 12 times, and don't tell anybody else to pump it 12 times. The engineers gave you all this power, so you have options. Okay, so let's come back to this. The option best for me at 12 meters and 15 yards is 5 pumps. It's a 5-pump to me. In another video, we'll talk about old timers who see it as a 4-pump. Okay, for Alfred at his ranges of 20 to 25 yards, it's an 8-pump. His gun still works. So what happened to Adam, I'm sorry he lost his weapon, and he potentially, he might repair it. He could. But 11 or 12 maxes out the gun, puts max stress on the gun, and it broke pretty soon. Okay, I want my gun to keep going. So anyway, hopefully that is convincing the people, please, Listen Up Gun Shop owner said, stay in single digits. He told me, figure out what works for you in the field, and 5 worked for me. So 5 pumps. And he told me stay away from 12 pumps, and Adam made clear, stay away from 11 pumps even. So consider going into single digits and making it work like Alfred did, 8 pumps. Okay, thank you.